It takes more than handling February 30th in your date code to be a great engineer. This is Soft Skills Engineering, episode 346. I'm your host, Dave Smith.
I'm your host, Jamison Dance.
Soft Skills Engineering is a weekly advice podcast for software developers, and we don't discriminate. We will handle any date you throw at us.
It's interesting. February 30th is when all the tasks I've been putting off are due. Oh, I think I stole that joke from Parks and Rec.
No, really?
Good job, Parks and Rec. Yeah, there's this. Maybe, is this where we switch from the Office references to Parks and Rec references?
This is that point. February 30th is the date we switch.
There's a manager that doesn't like meetings, and his assistant schedules all of his meetings for March 30th.
February 30th.
Or 31st. Or yeah, because they thought March 31st didn't exist.
Oh, but it actually does exist.
And then it does exist, and all these people show up.
Terrible day.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've seen that clip on YouTube.
If we have to handle February 30th, I have to go update a bunch of if-else statements real quick.
Okay.
The primary method of managing dates and times and leap everythings.
Leap seconds.
Leap February 30th.
Yeah.
Should I thank our patrons, Dave?
Go for it.
Thank you to Anthony Ongaro, Kent C. Dodds, Oladapo Fadye, Monkey Face Emoji, I Love Mavis, Santa Hopar, Jonathan King, Connie Lee, Bartek Tatkowski, Nick Cantor, Ira Chan, Jenny Kim, John Grant, Gnandon Hooten, Ohio, Kyle Boss, Braden Keynes, The Stochastic Parrot, Valentin at Datafold, Cody Sale, Noah Fraser Logue, Will Angel, Travis Sanders, Riniga, which is a rotation of Ragnar, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a sort?
It's a swizzle.
It's all the letters. It's a swizzle, yeah. Andres Reales, Alice Jost, Nick Hathaway, Craig Motlin, Owen Shardle, testingisdocumenting.org, patreon.com.au, we're hiring, and Philip John Basile. Thank you. Thank you. I realize I don't look into the camera while I do these because I look at a point on my screen and I just assume it looks like I'm looking at my camera, but it's not. But for this, I'm going to look in the camera. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well said.
Your support helps us keep the show going. It helps us put it on YouTube where you can find it and pay for our hosting and editing costs, all that other stuff. And if you contribute by going to softskills.audio and clicking support us on Patreon, any dollar amount will get you an invite to our Slack community, and any dollar amount above whatever it says on Patreon will get you to will get us to shout you out.
I must say that lest you think the editing costs are low, I bet you haven't tried to find editors who are willing to tolerate the sound of our voices for as long as it takes to edit one of these shows. Not easy.
I think most of the expense goes into the de-beautification of our faces because the true majesty would distract from our words, and we don't want that.
The de-beautification. It's like the opposite of the Zoom touch up my face checkbox.
Yeah.
De-beautify my face. Just
really mess me up. There's a checkbox that we click that says...
Actually, there's a slider from positive 10 to negative 10, it turns out. Touch up or touch down.
The TikTok filters they don't want you to know about.
All right.
We should do a show, though. Do you want to read our first question, Dave?
I will. This comes from an anonymous listener who says, I recently applied for a job for a great company. The interview went well until we talked compensation. I said I expected to get a pay raise for changing jobs, but it seems they can only offer me as much as I already have. I have never negotiated salary before. With my current job, which was my first, I happily accepted what they offered me, and we have had regular bumps without negotiations. Although I am really interested in the job, I feel it is a defeat not to get a pay raise when I'm changing jobs for the first time in my career. The benefits are also not as good. Do you have any advice? Should I lower my expectations for a non-consulting position and switch despite not getting a raise? Or should I negotiate harder? Or just wait for something better?
I helpfully edited out, I just realized while you're reading this, I deleted the part of the question that said they're in a consulting role right now.
Okay.
So that's where the non-consulting thing comes.
So switching from a consulting role to a non-consulting role?
At a different company, though. But
I
think the implication is like, I don't know. You get paid a lot as a consultant, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I guess there are consultancies that are companies for which you work, like a standard W-2 income, but that don't pay you like the astronomical consultants rates. Like they take a haircut
that's all where all their money comes from.
Okay, so what that's probably saying here.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think this question is interesting for two reasons. One, because it is a new era in tech, and a year ago I would have said, heck no, absolutely not. Don't take
Throw
a job
that
offer for the
back
same amount
in
of
their
money.
Face.
Yeah.
Not today.
Tell them to print it out on a silk napkin and then blow your nose with it. Show them what you think of that. But stuff's different now. Maybe that's not what you should do.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that caught my eye was, this is your first salary negotiation, and it just so happened that they offered you exactly as much as you already made.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I
what are the
suspect
odds?
that they asked you, how much money do you make? And then they said, what a coincidence.
That's exactly the offer we have prepared for you. Why is the number written in pencil and everything else is printed on a piece of paper? Oh, don't worry about that.
To show we care.
So Jamison, I think you're saying that you made the first mistake of negotiation by saying the number first. This is what I always read on the negotiation tactics.
Yeah. I mean, saying the number first can be bad, but also saying how much you make instead of how much you want, I think that's a more clear error.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy for a company to lower how much they will offer you if they find out that you make below what they expected, and thus you would be satisfied with below what they were intending to offer you.
And a year or two ago, even if you did communicate how much you're currently making, I would have expected the company to try to put a little on top of that, maybe 5%, 10%.
We got to make it worth your while to join us.
Exactly. And that is a common trend. And the fact that they're not doing that, tells me that they probably know it is no longer an employee's market as much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're testing the waters. Maybe they're like, we actually just want to know firsthand what the market's really like. Will people take jobs that don't even include a pay raise? This might be their first time.
We've given them the advice that is only helpful with a time machine, which is don't tell them how much money you make already.
Classic advice from us.
Is this salvageable now? Say you told them, here's how much money I make, or even like, here's how much I would like to make. Negotiations are wild. Like, you can say some stuff that is not true, that is worse for you, just to make a situation less uncomfortable. So it's not impossible that this person could have said, not just here's how much I make, but like, and I don't want any more. Please don't give me any more.
Please.
Like,
I can't afford the tax bracket.
Yeah. Is it possible to go back and say, just kidding, I would like more money, please?
Oh, remember when I told you how much I made? I'm sorry, I left off a 0 when I filled out your form. It's actually $1.5 million. And I'm willing to work for half of that.
What a bargain.
Can you go back? In these kinds of situations where you've kind of gotten toward the end of the process, they've made you an offer, or at least they've verbally signaled that they're going to make you an offer. They want you. They've invested time in you, but they also know they have some options right now. Like, there are other people on the market who they think might be better than you potentially. So it's not a slam dunk. So what can you offer them right now that would make it worth it to them? What I would say, and a little technique that I've used at other jobs when negotiating, is if I just want to squeeze a little bit more out of the offer to feel great about it, you can tell them, look, I love the offer. I love the company. I'm excited about your mission. I would love to join your team. If you can make this offer $10,000 a year higher, I will sign it today. And that little, I will sign it today, it's like, what do I get? It's like, if that's in the employer's mind. It's like, this is what I get. I get a swift, decisive yes out of this candidate,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to dragging it on, or, let me think about it for a weekend. Let me shop it around and see if I can get some other offers. But by promising them that if they'll just sweeten it a little bit, that you'll sign it today, that gives them something that they feel like they're actually buying by giving you more.
Yeah. I think you can also express it in terms of, ideally, you would be excited to join the company. And you can say, this number, this would make me excited to accept the offer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to begrudgingly say, okay, like it's barely enough for me to not blow my nose with it and throw it in your face. That's another thing that you can give them. This is less. Oh, go ahead.
There's less snot involved.
less snot. Unless you use the traditional snot rocket celebration to seal the deal. Now you spit and do the handshake.
Why is the candidate covering one nostril with their face? Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Another technique that I've seen used, I don't want to say against me, but when I was on the other side of a negotiation like this, and I had made an offer that the candidate was obviously, they wanted a little more money. This particular candidate said to me, look, I'm willing to accept this offer if you will promise me in 6 months a raise to this amount, and you and I can agree on some conditions for achieving that raise. Like I'm still in good standing, I've delivered work that meets your expectations, and if those are met, then I will get $10,000 more as a raise, not a bonus, in 6 months. And sometimes companies are willing to sign off on that too, because it's like, oh yeah, you've taken some of the risk out of the equation because you've given us a little bit of flexibility to try before you buy.
You're kind of betting on yourself a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I bet I'll do a good job, and I'm willing to take this risk of maybe I don't get a raise in X amount of months to prove it.
I'm willing to bet 4% of my salary that I'll do a good job.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny stake.
Obviously you would want this in writing.
Yeah.
Not a handshake deal, or not even the legendary snot rocket handshake deal.
Wait, is that different than the Spit Brothers deal?
I don't know what that is.
That's where you each
maybe
spit in your hands,
maybe it's not,
and then shake your. Oh, I guess. Sorry, family show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's more binding. Snot is stickier.
It's, literally binding. Like it's more adhesive.
Yeah. Yeah. Contract law is heavily based on metaphor.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Okay.
Did we answer it?
Or two other suggestions.
Okay.
One other suggestion is.
Hold on. No, can we just agree no more bodily fluids?
Yes, I will commit.
All right, good.
One other suggestion is bring up the benefits thing, right? It is costing you something, and a way for that company to make up for that cost is give you more money. You can say, hey, I noticed the salary is the same, but actually it's like, I don't know, 5 fewer days of vacation a year, or my insurance premiums go up by so much. Can you make that pain go away with dollars or local currency, whatever that may be?
Right.
And then the last thing I would say is, should I negotiate harder, wait for something better? I'm going to abdicate this question because every time I've made this decision of should I take this job offer or not, it's been like pretty agonizing, I will say. Mm-hmm. So today I feel pretty reluctant to cavalierly say like, nope, reject the job offer, or yep, accept it. I would definitely negotiate harder, but I don't know if I would reject it given the economy.
Yeah. I would say that the heuristic to apply there on whether you should reject this and move on is how much pain your current job is causing you. If the pain is low and tolerable and the enjoyment is high, then it might be okay, because the fallback position is you stay at your current company. But if it's really painful and the relative risk of taking this other opportunity outweighs the pain of staying at your current job, then go for it.
Yeah.
But
all right.
No guarantees another one's coming around the corner. It's just not that kind of world right now. The LinkedIn recruiter spam that I've just come to love to hate for so many years is all but dried up.
It's dried up, and it's become less relevant. I got one asking me to come write Java at the BBC, which I assume is in the UK. Like, that's showing the they're like, we don't have to put in the effort to target this.
Yeah, anyone
come
will.
beg for the scraps.
Yeah. BBC.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Let's read another question. Dave, do you want to read it?
No, I would like you to do the honors this time.
Yeah, it's my turn. Okay. This is my attempt to shirk my responsibility.
Nice try.
You got me.
Nice try.
This is from an anonymous listener who says, "Hi, Dave and Jamison. We recently started a new project with a new team of devs that never worked together before. The team consists of 2 experienced backend devs, 2 junior backend devs, and a couple of front-end devs. One of the junior backend devs has a mindset of just jumping into tasks, doing things without any previous analysis, just writing code for the first thing that comes into his mind. I like him being proactive, but it often causes big trouble, bugs, technical debt, and often absolutely useless code.
Ouch.
We have had several discussions in the team pointing out some of the problems, but he is not interested in changing his behavior. During the last discussion, he didn't react to any of our arguments, just insisted on doing things his way. After that discussion, he realized he even made some commits on an issue that has not been in the sprint nor had been refined yet while we were talking to him."
I'm sorry, what did you say? I was
it.
busy working on this bug that's not in the sprint.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed your lecture about how I shouldn't be a cowboy coder because I was too busy wrestling steer down. Too busy roaming the range. Our team has no dedicated lead nor a scrum master, and we work remote only. The next organization level is our CEO. I love the company, I love the team, I love the project. I even like this dev on a personal level. If we talk to the CEO, I suspect it might end badly for the junior dev since he is still in a probationary period. I know that we must talk to our CEO if things do not change. Do you have any advice? How can we reach him? Thank you for your great show.
Oh man, this is very interesting. You've got I've brought up the X-Men Cyclops metaphor before, right? Where you've got this kid who can shoot laser beams out of his eyes, but they're completely uncontrolled and they just go in every direction and they just roast everything around him until he can put on the visor that helps him focus and actually send the beam where he wants it to go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's this cowboy coder.
Yeah. We've had several discussions pointing out some of the problems. He's not interested in changing his behavior.
I love the fact
didn't react to any
that
of our
while
arguments.
they were talking to him about that, he's off working on an unassigned task.
Yeah.
It's like the best poetry.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, this is the added level of difficulty of there's no hierarchy, there's just the CEO and then the developers on the team makes
That's
this trickier
crazy,
because
right?
I think I guess. I mean,
The developers report straight to
Yeah.
the CEO.
maybe this is the whole company. I don't know. Maybe it's small. Whatever.
Maybe.
I'm going to skip over
Maybe.
whether that's weird or not, but I guess you could ask to become the manager if you want to. Like, hey, I'll solve this little problem
That's
for
true.
you that you don't
That's
know
true.
you have if you give me this role. Maybe you don't want that role though.
Probably not.
This is sounding alarm bells in my head though, because one of the most important roles of a junior developer, responsibilities of a junior developer is to learn and respond to feedback, because they're not going to know everything and do everything correctly, and they will get feedback. So the fact that this person has insisted on doing things his way despite your feedback is kind of scary to me. Not kind of, is pretty concerning to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have one more conversation and express very strongly, like, you need to change or we will, I don't know, have to talk to the CEO about it. There's probably better ways to say that. But I think this is at a point where if they're writing a ton of code and it has bugs and technical debt and useless, it's possible that they are taking up more of your time than they're providing by getting stuff done. Like,
Right. They might be a net
it's-
harm. Their presence might be a net negative to the productivity of the team.
Yeah.
To me, the economic principle at play here, because obviously I'm an economist now, is the concept
That's
of
quick.
externalities. This team member is doing what suits him, but it's producing negative effects for the rest of the team, effects that team member is not paying for, or that they don't, I don't mean paying for literally, but that he's unaware of it, right? And it doesn't affect him negatively, even though it affects the rest of the team negatively. So how do you create a world where externalities come back to bite the person who creates them, so that they have to deal with it.
I mean, you could hook the bug tracker up to like a shock collar. And then
look, we've decided every bug is your fault now.
Things would change in the organization. I can't fathom in what ways they would go horribly wrong, but something would be different for sure.
Yeah.
You physically punished people when bugs were found in
you
the
mentioned
code.
bugs, and I think that's actually a good idea. And by the way, I agreed with everything you said as well earlier. I also think that it's probably time to help this person close the loop and deal with the carnage that this person is creating by saying, look, you introduced this bug because you were being cavalier and working on things without consideration or review. You're now assigned to do this bug. You introduced some technical debt because you're being cavalier, and now we have database passwords in our source code. This is unacceptable. You have to fix this. Hey, you produced this useless code that actually doesn't do anything, so we've put a ticket in Jira for you to remove that useless code. It's on you now. The problem is you don't have anyone on this team whose job it is to administer that. And that just strikes me as very odd, or I mean, maybe that is the CEO's job on this team.
Yeah.
But this is exactly the kind of behavior I would expect to see go unchecked in a company where you don't actually have a designated leader for the team, for the engineering team.
Yeah. If you have to deal with it collectively, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And really distracting for the whole team.
A lot of hand wringing.
You have to
like,
stage
really
an intervention. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm getting kind of an intervention vibe. During the last discussion, he didn't react to any of our arguments. It sounds like they're like several team members trying to argue with this developer. Please do things in this way.
Yeah.
I mean, one option is to just talk to the other devs on the team and either ask one of them to take the lead on dealing with this person, or say, I would like to take the lead. I'm not trying to be in charge of the team, but I do think some enforcement would be useful for this developer. Yeah. And then do the stuff you talked about.
And like, maybe you go around and kind of gather input from the other team members to say, hey, tell me your story about how you've been affected by this team member's cavalier behavior, and collect those and then bring them to the team members so they just can't ignore them. Be very crisp and clear about the effects of their actions.
That thought occurred to me as well. If he's not convinced or insists on doing things his way, and you say, look at what it cost. Like, I spent a week fixing this thing. Like, that's not acceptable. And he still insists on doing things his way. That's a pretty clear sign to pull the fire alarm and talk to the CEO.
Yeah,
and then
I think so. And I wouldn't
let them get fired.
The fact that it's the CEO is a little, it makes it a little bit harder, I think, to deal with this, because it feels like it's more final or more intense or more highly escalated. But that's all this organization has afforded you. And given the word probation here, I'm going to assume this is in Europe, probably the UK, because I hear that term a lot for British engineering teams. This may be the only time you can actually deal with this, because once that probation period is over, the actual ramifications or the actual tools you have at your disposal are much weaker in the way that they I don't want to say threaten, but if I don't think my job is on the line,
it's a lot more expensive to fire someone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, as the perpetrator of the bad behavior, if you come to me and say, you're not doing a good job and you're going to get fired, I'm like, the heck I am. I'm not on my probation period. It's like, what am I?
Yeah.
I might have less incentive to respond positively.
Yeah.
So now's the time. I would not sit on this and wait. And the CEO is probably the right way to go. And if you've already tried talking to them and they just aren't hearing it, then I don't see a problem with going straight to the CEO. And you have to have a little bit of trust to do that. Maybe your CEO is really trigger happy on the termination gun, but hopefully your CEO is wiser than that and can offer some coaching and give some actual give some gravity to the situation so that the team member knows how serious it is.
You also said there's two junior backend developers. So you have another junior backend developer to compare this person to.
True.
And one pattern I have seen is maybe the other developer is less flashy and cranks out less code, but is just more solid and less disruptive on the team, and you can both point to that behavior as examples of what you're looking for, and also think like, would we rather have someone like the solid dependable or the rootin' tootin' Cyclops Cowboy?
Yeah. The pre-visor Cyclops Cowboy.
Yeah. I feel like
Scorched earth.
if it were me, I would talk to him one more time and be very direct.
Yeah.
People usually are less direct
Then they think.
than they think they are being.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that he thought you were arguing about a specific, like a design pattern or something.
Right.
Like, oh, we don't need a visitor here. Instead of you having this broad concern of like, you throw in Gang of Four stuff because you like that book.
Yeah, exactly.
In our CSS, we don't we don't need it there.
And that's right. Wait, you don't need Gang of Four design patterns in your CSS? What? I don't understand. That's
you haven't
best practices.
You haven't read the book enough.
Yeah, exactly. Read it harder.
Read it harder.
Maybe to lend a little bit of gravity to what you're saying, you could actually say, listen, if you don't respond to this feedback, I am going to share this feedback with our CEO. Boy, that's a little heavy, and it feels, you might jeopardize the relationship.
It does feel very threatening. Yeah.
But this person has demonstrated some really, I don't know what the right word is here, but disregard for the effects of their actions. And either they're going to hear it from you and figure it out and get it fixed, or they're going to lose their job. So, worst case scenario, they just continue on their merry way and they do get fired. Best case scenario, they hear you and go, I'm so grateful that you had the courage to tell me what I needed to hear at a time when I wasn't hearing it very well. And you might get lucky, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt that's how they're going to respond.
Yeah, this person needs to learn it sometime. And if they can learn it here, maybe they'll be a really great developer if they keep that proactivity and desire to jump in and do stuff and learn to harness it a little bit more.
Sounds like something that's kind of nagging at me in the back of my mind is that if you've been as straightforward and clear with this person as you say, and they've been so dismissive that they're actually doing the behavior while you're telling them about it, there's also a chance that this person might have they might suffer from some kind of psychological concern or disorder or something that is a little bit beyond your ability to handle. And so that's something to keep in mind, is you want to be sensitive that this might not just be a situation where this person is just being bad. You're just bad. Yeah. Like it's probably not that simple. And given if you've been that direct, like I said, there could be something more going on here that is hard for you to understand as someone who is trained in software, but not the software of the mind.
Software of the mind. New tagline for our show. All right. Have we answered the question?
I doubt it, but good luck anyway.
Good luck. Dave, what can people do if they want their own questions answered?
Go to softskills.audio and click the Ask a Question button where you can fill out our form. And thank you so much to everyone who does that every week. We love you. We love your questions. And you keep the show going.
Thank you. Catch you next week.